Hi everyone, it's great to be here today, and I'd like to thank Phil Latz and his team for organising this event. I know how much effort has gone in to bring everyone together today. Also, I'd like to acknowledge, do an acknowledgement in country. I would like to acknowledge Aboriginal peoples as traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respect for elders past and present and emerging, extending this respect to all Aboriginal peoples here today, no matter where you come from. Connection to country, to our lands and our First Nation people is so important to all of us to consider in micromobility and in the active transport space. As Stephen mentioned, I lead the active transport team in Cities and Active Transport Division at Transport. This division brings together placemaking, parks, gardens and active transport specialists from Transport and Department of Planning and Environment. We have a clear mandate to deliver a more aligned approach across all government that connects people and place. And this has helped raise the profile and importance of active transport and provided the focus it requires. It's quite important that we have key champions that are helping us drive that initiative. I'm going to call out Minister Stokes, the Secretary, Rob Sharp, and our Deputy Secretary, Kirsten Fishburn. My team is focused on prioritising walking and cycling infrastructure upgrades and drives programmes and improved connectivity for sustainable travel options. One of our biggest priorities is addressing the gap in our transport network, like connected cycleways, shared paths and footpaths. We want everyone to have the choice to get out and walk and cycle and use micromobility options, no matter what their age and their ability. To do this, our job is to make our active transport system as safe and accessible as possible. As we know, these are the key barriers for people being active on our networks.
Hey, I'm Andrew and I live in North Sydney. I'd love to buy an e-bike, help me get around, help me get up those hills, but they're expensive. So if I buy one, I want to make sure that I can charge it where I need to go and that it works for me and where I need to get around.
COVID and the lockdowns were a catalyst for a shift in policy in favour of active transport. Bike riding and walking across Sydney and New South Wales has increased significantly, with many of us looking for alternatives to public transport and driving our essential trips. We know that during COVID, there were significant increases in the number of people that cycled and walked, and that people did this more than before, with surveys highlighting increases around 50% with a local focus. We're working collaboratively across transport to plan a 15-minute neighbourhood so we can give people better access to connections locally and encourage active transport alternatives. So this becomes a more sustainable and economically friendly travel solution for so many. We're also using data and technology to inform wayfinding and improve journey planning to avoid congestion at peak times. As micromobility options ramps up, we need to explore how best to introduce this new technology in a safe and effective manner. We currently have a record investment and have invested 1.5 billion on active transport since 2015. The 2022-23 New South Wales state budget also committed 110 million towards an active transport 22-23 annual programme. This programme aims to improve bike riding connections, the walkability of town centres, neighbourhoods and to key destinations. It will also look to enable vibrant and livable neighbourhoods by creating street environments that prioritise walking and cycling. Around 950 million will be invested over a 5-year period from 2021-22 towards walking and cycling infrastructure. I'm extremely proud of the work we are delivering to help improve the day-to-day lives of so many people across New South Wales. There are huge opportunities in the active transport space to further collaborate with industry and implement new exciting technologies particularly with micromobility. Today, I'll take you through how we are doing things differently to integrate micromobility options into our planning and make this a viable solution for our customers. Before I jump into all that, I thought we'll provide you a quick overview of the future transport strategy. It's our 40-year vision and has been adjusted to address the recent changes we've experienced at a global level, be that major weather events, economic and future workforce changes, and of course COVID, which have all forced us to pivot. These events have shown us we need to be agile and adapt our planning so we can successfully meet the changing needs of our customers and communities. We know our customers are looking for new ways to get around, and their travel habits are changing. Minister Stokes touched on earlier today that traditionally transport was heavily focused on roads, and that's why this has been easier for people to take this as a travel solution. We're now shifting that focus away from the moving vehicles to moving people, and now we place active transport at the forefront of our planning to make our systems more sustainable. Our goal is to make walking and cycling the most convenient option for short, everyday trips. In Greater Sydney, we want to provide safe and connected cycleways within the metropolitan centres and to key destinations, which includes travelling for education, to our parks and to our beaches. We also want to increase walking and cycling and public transport use in regional New South Wales by improving walking and cycling infrastructure to towns for short trips. Attitudes towards active transport are recognised to be key. To achieve the future transport strategy objectives, we need quality, evidence-based, customer-centred policy and programmes. We are regularly undertaking surveys and research to gain the data and insights about our customer needs. This data is so beneficial for us and our partners, who we work with in a collaborative way, and more on this later. In late 2021, research of over 1,000 adults living in Sydney was undertaken to find out more about their attitude towards active transport. Interestingly, the research found that 13% of all surveyed used a bike for everyday short trips between September and November 21. Nearly 20% of bike riders said they were using their bike more often compared to the same time last year. Bike riding is most popular amongst millennials, with 1 in 5 cyclists aged between 25 and 40. Use is the highest amongst parents of school-aged children, followed by workers. When compared to a year ago, around 2 in 5 people said that they're walking more than they used to. Bike riding is also increasing in popularity, with nearly 1 in 5 saying that they rode more than they did a year ago. Also, interestingly, Central Sydney residents are most likely to see walking in their everyday commute to positively contribute to the environment, followed by Western Sydney and the North Shore, with approximately 20% target from those areas. We also recently conducted a digital consultation for 600 customers to find out more about what they think about active transport in New South Wales. We came across some interesting insights that supported our existing understanding of travel behaviour changes post-COVID. 74% of people said they are walking more than twice a week. 48% of people are riding a bicycle more than twice a week. And 17% are using e-bikes already. This shows us that more people are embracing active transport options in their daily routine, and we need to accommodate these trends. 45% of people said, if legalised, they would consider using e-scooters once a week. We also know more people want more bike paths, safer speed limits to be enforced, and public charging stations for e-bikes and scooters.
My name is Tom and I live in the eastern suburb. I like to walk and ride my skateboard most places, like the pub, shops, and other places like that. Many need more connected cycle paths so that I can ride my skateboard freely, or more shared paths and better quality footpaths as well.
At Transport, we use a term called end-to-end journeys, and this refers to considering a customer's journey from first time they step out of their home to their key destination. Actually, transport plays a vital role in connecting people to public transport, and when these connections are made easier for people, public transport use increases. Sydney Metro here in Sydney is Australia's biggest public transport project and is revolutioning how we travel. It's also Australia's first automated railway. By 2030, Sydney will have a network of 4 metro lines, 46 stations and 113 kilometres of new metro rail. The project includes the construction of railway tunnels, Australia's longest rail tunnel, with almost 6 times longer than Sydney Harbour Tunnel. We're connecting Sydney's northwest, west, southwest, and Greater West to faster, reliable, turn up and go metro services with fully accessible stations. But without easy active transport access and connections to this amazing infrastructure, it won't realise its potential or enable the creation of great places. So we have worked closely with Sydney Metro to ensure people can easily connect their journeys. There are lifts at all stations. There's level access between platforms and trains. When developing Sydney Metro's infrastructure, we considered how we can link cycle paths to stations and provide safe storage solutions for bikes and micromobility. The Sydney Metro Northwest includes approximately 6 kilometres of shared paths, new pedestrian bridges and underpass connections. It also has 350 bike parking spaces available at the stations. The recently delivered Glenwood pedestrian link provides improved access and reduced walking times for local residents within proximity of Bella Vista Station. The new link allows Glenwood residents and school children to be within 15 minutes walk of the station. Sydney Metro City and South West will integrate walking and cycling access as part of the design of new stations and precincts and provides more than 1,000 new bike parking spaces and due to open in 2024. The team are working collaboratively across transport with industry and our partners and local government to deliver some amazing things. Our projects and initiatives are being designed with our customers and communities at the centre. Some examples of what we're doing. One of our biggest projects at the moment is the strategic cycleway corridors for the Eastern Harbour City. Will be shortly expanded into Central River City and the Western Parkland cities. And then we'll be looking at some of the regional major centres. The Eastern Harbour City provides 30 strategic cycleway corridors that have identified for the Eastern Harbour City, making approximately 250 kilometres of network. The corridors will connect key centres and major points of interest. Get New South Wales Active grants programme, released in August 2022, 41.1 million of funding for 122 projects across Greater Sydney and the regional areas of New South Wales. It's a major milestone of how to improve our infrastructure in the local, across the local network. We've also opened the wide mountain bike and BMX track in our Western Parklands, Sydney Parklands, the largest combined mountain biking and BMX hub in Australia. This project has been a fantastic example of how we are working collaboratively across transport with our partners to deliver great outcomes for the local communities.
Exciting things are happening here in Western Sydney. By 2036, more than half the population will live west of Parramatta. Western Sydney Parklands is a critical part of Greater Sydney's blue-green grid for now and the future. Wild BMX and mountain bike facility is the biggest combined biking hub in Australia. We have addressed the need for new water pipelines, the new M12 motorway connecting to the future airport, and for new community facilities and to protect the environment. Working together, we've saved time and we've saved money.
What we're seeing happening around us is the transformation of Southwest Sydney. Here we are in Western Sydney Parklands, and we have this amazing facility which is world class for all the people of Liverpool and Southwest Sydney to enjoy.
It's really great to be a part of the Greater Parklands vision and the really important work that they're doing in creating some significant sites in Western Sydney. The more that we can work together with them as part of our infrastructure projects to create that vision, the more that we can contribute to the livability of Western Sydney.
Working together in collaboration can achieve great outcomes. And if you want an example of that, just come here and check it out for yourselves.
We work with local government across our projects so we can deliver better outcomes for people of New South Wales. As part of the Get New South Wales programme, we're supporting local councils to deliver and expand local bike networks and enhance pedestrian access. We also provide facilities through planning guidance and funding support. This includes establishing pop-up cycleways, widening footpaths, introducing lower speed limits to provide safer environments for pedestrians and cyclists. We're also working closely with local councils and our partners to plan a connected cycleway network with a 10 to 15 year outlook. Together, we can deliver strategic cycleway corridors and develop implementation plans that will allow the planned and coordinated delivery of individual connections to make up each corridor. Planned local council networks complement this programme by feeding into strategic corridors, enable the creation and expansion of the connected network of cycleways across our cities. Additionally, we are partnering with 6 councils to pilot the development of walking infrastructure plans for 15-minute neighbourhoods using best practice planning guidance and tools, and we expect to bring an update to that in the near future.
My name's Raina and I live in Southwest Sydney. I'm excited to have other alternative methods of transport such as e-bikes and e-scooters available to link it into my current public transport travel, particularly as petrol prices are going up and the weather's changing and everything. It's a lot easier to get by, I guess, with an e-bike or an e-scooter. It's also been really good to have the trials happening in my local government area, so just going in and using the machines and seeing what they feel like and knowing they're safe and reliable is a really, really cool and effective option of travel.
Micromobility devices like e-bikes and e-scooters provide customers with great options for active travel. With opportunities to provide speeds of up to 25 kilometres per hour for e-bikes, journey times can be reduced for even the average cyclist. We've completed e-scooter opt-in trials in collaboration with some local councils and have worked with them to create regulations that are sensible and safe for all users. We've already seen some early insights from the trials about how these are benefiting customers and increasing mobility. Some surveys taken from the 3-month trial at our parklands and gardens have indicated overall 89% of users were satisfied with their e-scooter experience, particularly with how enjoyable they were to ride and in terms of safety. 88% of our visitors felt safe with e-scooters being used in the park, and 71% felt that users were generally following the rules. 41% of visitors intend to use e-scooters again in the future. Over half of the respondents indicated that they would likely recommend e-scooters to their family and friends. Over half were male, and 3/5 were under the age of 40. Safety remains our #1 priority. The success of these trials and the support from the local community will help us develop better practice for future rollouts.
Today we're here at Lizard Log in Western Sydney Parklands, where we've launched our first shared scheme e-scooter trial in New South Wales. We're going to be trialling it first in our parks and gardens, 3 different places in Western Sydney Parklands, and then in the beautiful Mount Annan Botanic Gardens. This gives us an opportunity to see how the community respond and gives councils an opportunity, like they have here today, to trial out the technology, get comfortable with it and ask some questions. So really exciting to be here at the launch and to see so many people having a great time on e-scooters going through our beautiful park.
To deliver our ambitious plans, we need to work collaboratively with industry, local government and our communities to develop best practice and regulate this safety. It's so great to see so much excitement and drive to explore new technologies and micromobility options in this space. By encouraging more people to use active transport, we will achieve really positive health, well-being, environmental and economic outcomes. It's the way of the future, and later sessions will really show you more about this and how it can be part of everyday use. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Thanks very much, Gordon. You can have that one.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question on the left here, and we'll get a microphone to you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Gordon. That was interesting. Kath Blakey, Wollongong City Council. I have two questions, if I'm going to be a bit cheeky. One was, so far the Active Streets network, like reducing speed limits, has focused on shopping centre areas. Is there a proposal to do it in residential areas? And the second question is, Wollongong's rail corridor, when can active transport get a sneaky slither?
I'll take the first question first. I might just leave the microphone, so I'll come back to the second one. Are we talking about high activity areas, the 40k speed limits? 30k speed limits. That's currently a trial around New South Wales at this moment in time. I know there's discussions around this. It's really handled by our roads area in terms of, but there's definitely a desire to move in that direction. There is some challenges. I think for active transport itself, there's been a number of challenges, and we're laying the foundations at the moment to enable those changes to occur. I think when it comes down to the 15-minute neighbourhood, that will provide a good foundation to look at these sorts of areas in that way and try and design our streets for the people, and that's its full intent. The functionality of the network needs to be looked at, and I think Lucy touched on that earlier on today. So there are some of the network we need to run differently, but there's definitely a desire to look at those local streets and provide that sort of opportunity to improve walking and cycling. And that's the main sort of objectives of the 15-minute neighbourhood concept, which is being developed and will hopefully provide the mechanism of further rollout of lower speed limits in our neighbourhoods. And the second part of the question, sorry?
I just look at WA and the way they've got shared paths along their rail corridor, and in Wollongong that's a real, it's a blocker.
Yep.
We've got a great coastal path, but getting to it, if we could access more of the rail corridor, I wonder if you could talk to your other transport friends.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at networks in different ways. It's not just about the commuter, it's about all trips for all purposes. When we look at the regional areas, we see the foreshore areas working really well. They're like our motorways. Rail corridors can work in similar sorts of ways. Depends on what they connect to, though. We need to connect to places, and that's what our key focus are. We've lots of lessons learned from our previous projects. I know for the Bankstown line, we're looking at an active transport corridor there. There's lots of challenges to deliver that corridor. We've also lots of lessons learned from Scattle. So how do we deliver these corridors to connect people to places in an effective way? Some of the rail corridor is definitely aligned with that thinking, but we're talking about all trips and getting the highest sort of use of the network and providing that value and that foundation for other connections to be placed. Where's that investment plan? How do we connect things together easily, and how do we deliver the connecting network in a fast, reliable way? Rail corridors and the foreshore are definitely in that equation, and then definitely need to be considered as well as the state road system as well.
Warren in the front here.
Thank you. It's great to hear that New South Wales Government is really stepping up to the plate. The 950 million, could you tell us a little bit about what you see as that being spent on? And more particularly, we heard from Randwick Council that maybe they're keen to build modal filters. Does that mean that that the Transport for New South Wales will support that kind of development?
I think with the 15-minute neighbourhood concept that we're trying to roll out at this moment in time will provide, again, a foundation for the modal filter sort of concepts. We're trying to bring together, in previous life we've tackled things in isolation and tried to piecemeal things together. I think we need to go back and have a look at things from a precinct scale or a neighbourhood scale and try and look at what's needed, why, and how the staging behind that and the programs that support that. We're finding at this moment in time, we've got a lot of programs, we've got a lot of funding that support these sorts of initiatives. It just isn't brought together in a holistic way. Hopefully this initiative with the 15-minute neighbourhood will provide the foundation for that and start to bring these programs together so we can deliver these sorts of outcomes that are being achieved elsewhere. I think that tackles the lower speed limits, it tackles through traffic, and it just basically creates a better environment for people to walk and cycle.
Okay, I get to ask a question. You know, that's an amazing sort of explanation of the breadth of the work that you guys need to deal with and that you're undertaking. But we're dealing with some big issues about transport congestion and now environmental concerns and health and so on. I mean, what, in your opinion, where are the big wins? Like, where's the really big ticket items? Now, clearly a lot of active travel advocates would say, well, when we start considering cycling and walking as major transport modes, we might get a shift. But I mean, from your point of view, where are you going to progress the really big issues that the government said you have to tackle? You know, the top 1 or 2 or 3, what are they?
Well, I think Future Transport sort of spelled that out in terms of the Connected Cycleway Network. That is the foundation for everything that we're going to do, because that's the biggest enabler we need to put in place. Our cycle networks are fragmented and of different quality. It's designed for a certain type of user. When we go back to that all ages and all abilities concept, it isn't suitable, it isn't fit for purpose, so we need to relook at that. And that's the piece of work that we're doing at this moment in time to try and provide that foundation so we can basically inform the customers that that is an option. That integrated with our public transport system that we're developing at this moment in time will enable people to choose to have different choices. I don't think in the past we've had that option to travel around, and also with obviously the impact of COVID has led to a major rethink of how we use the network and the need to travel.
You had a project for an entire city network on the IA infrastructure list, right? Now, that would seem to be a great way of leveraging additional resourcing for a specific whole of network. Now, clearly you've got 3 cities, right? I mean, to do it all, you probably need 2 billion or something, whatever it is. I don't know.
The whole of New South Wales.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know, the big gains for you are in your metropolitan area. You know, I mean, is that something you'd try and get back on the agenda? Because, you know, federal money's
I think at the moment, you know, and just to be quite frank, I don't think funding is the issue at the moment. I think the industry needs to be set up to deliver. The ecosystem at the moment needs to be formed in a way that we can deliver this type of infrastructure. That's why the partnership approach is so important to us, how we work with our partners. We can hand councils sometimes money. They'll take some time to deliver on the outcomes there, because there's a whole series of impacts that they need to deal with. What we're really focused at this moment in time is generate that pipeline of projects so we can deliver on the outcomes we need to deliver. And to build that pipeline, we then inform the infrastructure list of what we actually need and how to deliver it. And I think it's not just a New South Wales issue, it's a whole of Australia issue. And potentially we need to tackle that at a national level as well.
No, it sounds fantastic. Would you give Gordon a great round of applause, please? Thank you very much.